Okay, so this is going to be a weird shiur. Okay, it's going to be chaotic and it's going to be orderly chaotic. Okay, it's a thing, yeah. So let me introduce it by. So let me say how it started. So Hindi Fader asked me. She said, "I've noticed that you, meaning me, translate the word Ashrei in a specific way." Okay, and she said I was looking through sources and like trying to figure out like where do you get that from, you know? So I know when I got this. I got it from a shiur I gave on either Perek Kuf Mem He or Perek Aleph of Tehilim, because both of them, Kuf Mem He doesn't actually, we call it Ashrei, but it doesn't actually have Ashrei in it. But Perek Aleph is when I came up with my theory. But it's been like 4 years since I gave that shiur, so I don't remember where it came from. So I said, oh, you know what? Let me just look and see in the meforshim and see what I find. So I found some meforshim that supported me, many that didn't. And so I started writing a what I'm thinking about this morning post on this morning because I was thinking about it this morning. And I was like, no, you know what? Like maybe we should do a refresh of like how to translate Ashrei. Okay. So that's where this shiur came from. All right. But I've seen many iterations of this joke, right? So this is posted on the internet. Some guy says Murphy's Law states that the best way to get the right answer on the internet is to not to ask a question, it's to post the wrong answer. What are some examples where you apply this law? And then someone comments, this is Cunningham's law, not Murphy's law. Murphy's law is anything that go wrong will go wrong, right? So what I'm kind of hoping here is that the people who listen to the shiur, like, well, first of all, you guys, but the people who listen to the shiur, like, who know a lot more Tanakh Hebrew than we do, will chime in and point out all my mistakes, or just weigh in with like the right answers, and then we'll do this. So I have kind of like a vague roadmap here, which is why it's orderly, but it's going to be chaotic. And I have no idea if this is going to be boring or not. Like this is the type of thing that I just spend hours doing research on my own. But like I know like Moshe Rosenthal is like-minded in like this kind of thing, and so maybe other people will help. So few sample psukim, right? Just to get the juices flowing before we even like start trying to translate this.
Did she ask this within the last 2 or 3 weeks?
No, like yesterday.
Okay.
No, this morning, actually. No, it must have been yesterday. It must have been yesterday. Yeah, why?
This came up we were at their house for dinner.
Oh, okay.
It was 2 weeks ago, and this came up.
All right, so maybe it's from there. Okay, so you have, just for example, okay, Ashrei ha'ish, there's a Tehilim 1:1. Ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach ba'atas rasha'im uv'derech ha'tayim lo amad uv'moshev leitzim lo yashav k'im b'torah Hashem chavto uv'saraso yegi amav. Okay, so Ashrei is the man who does not follow the counsel of the wicked, doesn't stand on the path of sinners, doesn't sit in this session of scoffers, but only in the Torah of Hashem is his desire, and in his Torah he contemplates day and night. Okay, then you've got the three that we say before. Did I do all three? No, I didn't. Ashrei yoshvei v'secha odia luchasala, right? That's in Pei Daled Hey. So Ashrei are the people who sit in your house, and they will still praise you. And then another one, which we don't say for some reason, Ashrei Adam Ozlo Bach Mesilos Bilvavam. Okay, then Ashrei Ham Shkachalo, Ashrei Ham Shem Elokav, right? So Ashrei is the nation that is such to you. Ashrei are the people that Hashem is his God. And then you have in Kuf Yud Tes, Ashrei Tmimei Derech HaHolchim B'Toras Hashem, Ashrei Notre Edosa B'Chol Lev Yidrashuhu. So the difficulty here, the reason, so what makes Ashrei hard to translate?
Like mantra?
So that's the area where I have the least knowledge, is that there's a weird form of it, okay? It is apparently an unusual grammatical form, and it's plural, right? So that's like one weird or two weird things. But like, okay, let's just do this for a second here. What are the ways that you've translated Ashrei? Not a definition, but just translation.
The 4.
Oh, the 4? Okay.
Fortunate, praiseworthy, happy, and forward moving. Forward moving?
Yeah. Okay. You feel like it feels like you're quoting something.
That was what Hindi said.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Good. All right, you remember what Hindi said? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So here's what's okay. Anyone have any other translations?
Wealthy.
Okay. Wealthy. Okay. I hear that.
Joyous.
Okay. Joyous. I asked this on a bunch of groups on Facebook. I asked this in a grammar nerd group, and then in a tefillah group, and then in a regular, and then in my group.
Could you say like content?
Content. That was one that a lot of people said. Yeah. So I've heard people say, and I cringed at this one, and then someone justified it. Blessed. Okay. Yeah. Well, you probably cringe the same reason I do, right? Oh, okay. Yeah. You want to know why I cringe? It's like a quirk of mine, not to cringe at that, but like it's a translation quirk, which I think is justified.
It's not in the passive.
Yeah, because my translation habit is that I think that like if you have a word that obviously there in any language there are going to be words that have multiple translations, but if you have a word that is very, very, very well established as the go-to translation for something, so then I don't like using other terms for that if it could fit. So for example, Baruch is blessed, you know. So like I don't the same way as like I hate it. So Art Scroll 99% of the time translates chachma as wisdom and you know, let's say like tavuna as understanding or discernment or whatever. Randomly, sometimes they'll translate chachma as understanding. Like, don't do that. Like, if you have a reason to do it, then do it. But like, so I just don't like. But I do understand why they say blessed based on some of these other meanings here.
Like the mobile thing.
It's kind of like the mom thing. Yeah, right. Like let's be specific and stick to it. Yeah. Okay. But what makes so these are our various candidates. Now, ordinarily, how do you figure out what the best translation is for a word? Okay, well that comes later. But let's say what was that? Yeah, you look at the different contexts. Okay, but what makes given assuming these are all legit, right? What makes it this difficult to use that method for?
It works for all.
Yeah, it works for all of them, right? So this is the real problem with Ashrei, which is that you could plug in any translation and it will fit.
The other like their Gemara usages of Ashrei, which could be
so okay, so here's another thing. So I actually encountered this morning and I tried to suppress my distracted face, which is that we read it twice in the Rambam this morning. When something good happens, sorry, when something bad happens now, but it's going to bring osher in the future. So in rabbinic Hebrew, osher is used to mean happy. That part's clear. Okay, rabbinic Hebrew doesn't use it to mean praiseworthy, but in biblical Hebrew, it's ambiguous. Yeah, Isaiah.
Is like osher, is that the same source as Ashrei? Like what is the source of Ashrei?
So it is Aleph Shin Resh. Okay, which brings us to our question, which is where are we going to start the investigation?
What can I say?
Yeah.
I already tripped other people listening. No, Ayin Shin Resh is wealth, right?
Yes, but it depends on what kind of wealth you're talking about. Fine. Yeah, reverse will probably like link him. Yeah, right. He's gonna pull a reverse. Don't worry. Don't underestimate. Yeah. So where would we start for this investigation? This is kind of a quasi methodology here for some, an investigation like this. Yeah.
Also, like, are we trying to understand what Ashrei means in Tehilim or what Ashrei means?
So what I would like to figure out is what the best translation or translations are, and are they universal or are there going to be different meanings in different places? And then, so my goal, since this is technically a Tehilim shiur, I did want to do Tehilim, but the hint is that we're not starting there.
It's like,
yeah.
I guess that was, you said like all the words fit, all the translations can fit into all of these, but I do think if you like learned each of these, took them and figured out the idea in each of them, then like a certain translation might be more
right. So if we had a lot of time, then that's how we would do it. But given the fact that we don't, so where are you going to find? I guess if you want to find meforshim talking about it, where would you look? Or not? I shouldn't even limit it to meforshim, but where would you look? What's the first step after looking up in the dictionary? Let's say we look up in the dictionary. Sorry. You know what? Hold on. Actually, I forgot I have another step here. Okay. So first thing I did also before I did this, you don't need to do this, is I looked at the etymology of the English words, okay? Because maybe we could like just not rule them out, but like get an intuitive weight here. Okay, so I did not think about the fact that happy comes from lucky, okay? And then I remembered, I don't know Shakespeare except I remember doing Romeo and Juliet in 9th grade, and I remember she I don't know what she says before she kills herself. Oh yeah, and trigger warning. Yeah. She says, "Oh, happy dagger," and I remember that because when we had to put on a play version of it, and I drew a dagger with a happy face on it because I thought that was like a funny joke. Yeah, so I think it means like she found a dagger there. Like I don't think she had planned on that or something like that. And so happy, fine. So praise. This I also didn't know the related word. Prize, okay, is related to the word to prize something, okay? So like from valuable, all right, to attach value to. Okay, so that's another connotation here. So again, I'm planting these seeds here in case when we go over the Hebrew meanings. Okay, now fortunate, here's the thing. If it weren't for the etymology, I would think fortunate would be the word that I would use for Ashrei. But what's the problem of the etymology of fortunate? Yeah, which is?
Well, I know the etymology, but like it means like blood.
Okay, it's worse.
Oh, it's like tarot cards, like that.
You're on the right track.
Yeah, astrology, that kind of thing.
So it comes from the goddess. Sorry. Fortuna from Fortunatus comes from fortune, which is from the goddess personifying luck or chance. So something irks me about using fortunate in Tehilim to describe someone's benefit from Hashem when you're referencing a goddess. I'm not saying it's the Isser of Avodah Zarah. I'm just saying like it makes me a little squeamish, you know? Yeah, but that's not even Christian.
Not sure it should be for the bad people.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because they're abandoned to chance, right? Yeah. Yeah.
He helps you, but when you're not, he punishes you.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Right. Okay. Oh, so this is one I actually forgot to list. So this is actually one of my go-to ones, although I don't use it because no one uses this in English, but felicitous. Okay. So felicity is the noun. Okay. And you'll see why I like this more in a little while, but felicitous means happy. Okay. Okay, content, I also did not know this comes from the same word as container, or it's contained as satisfied. Okay, so that's a good word. Is that what Ashrei means though? This is where we have to like test out. Like that would be like, Ezihu Chacham, Ezihu Ashir Hasameach B'chalko. So content is a good translation of Sameach and Sameach B'chalko. Is it really what Ashrei means? I'm not sure. Okay, now bless, I did not know this either. Comes from the word blood. Okay, blood, Blidsin, and then that turned into benedicere. So perhaps from consecrated with blood, or related to bliss. So blissful is another one that could work here. Okay, blissful. Yeah. Okay, blissful. All right. So now my question is, where going back to the original question. Now in our sources, where would we start looking?
Like, I don't know, like,
Okay, but where? In Mitsusian. Earliest place. Now, where's the earliest place it comes up?
Meaning, is there a different form of the word of the letter?
Yeah, because obviously the word like Asher is a thing which occurs a lot, which I'm gonna go ahead and assume it's not related except to maybe the striding forward. Like what do you call that kind of word? Like Asher.
Salvo?
Is that a thing? Salvo? Oh, I don't know. I mean, salvo is a word, but is that like that or which? Like, what do you call those words? That or which?
Not a part of speech. I thought that's what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
part of speech is that.
Yeah, what part of speech? Yeah, I don't know. But oh yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, so what's the earliest place in Tanakh where the word that we're talking about is used? Not necessarily in the form Ashrei. Earlier. I'll give you a hint, it's in Chumash. Earlier.
Oh, yeah,
When she names it. Okay. So here we get a bonus, but a problem. Okay. So the earliest place is Bereshis Lamed Yud Gimel. Okay. So you have not one, not two, but three instances of the Shoresh. Okay. Vatomer Leah. Okay. And Leah said, all right, Be'oshri. Okay. So that's already a problem. Be'oshri. Like, what does that even mean? Ki ishruni banos. For daughters have ashered me. Okay. Vatikra shemo es shemo asher. Okay. And she called his name Asher. Okay. So the benefit here is you got three instances to work with, and they're all different, but they're all confusing. Okay. So this is where we're going to look here. Now, what's the by the way, what's the strict English equivalent of Asher? Like if you had a passport name for Asher, what would it be? No, less strict. Like in English, like an English equivalent, not a Hebrew, not just like Hebrew transliteration.
Ash.
No. Okay. So what I did was I clicked on the BDB for each of these things. So we'll see the BDB. Oh, sorry. First of all, we'll look at the English translations. Okay. So here are, and what I want to do is I want to color code these. Okay. Just to keep score. All right. So, Art Scroll says, Leah declared in my good fortune, for women have deemed me fortunate. Sorry, okay. Deemed me fortunate, so I called his name Asher. Okay. Koren says, happy am I. We'll do blue for happy.
Who is sad?
I don't know, blue's Tchelis and the Kitzi HaKavod, and it's bright. Yeah. Okay. Happy am I. For the daughters will call me blessed.
Translate it 2 different ways.
Okay. So that's a very interesting thing also, because this is gonna I'm gonna use the annoying color here.
Bit Ashrei be happy in life.
No, that's super annoying. They're all annoying. All the colors after this are annoying. We're gonna do gray for blessed. Okay.
Use lighter tones.
Can you change the highlight on? I don't think you can change the highlight on Word. You can only change the to select custom colors.
That's so weird.
I know, it's very weird.
You're limited to like those highlights.
Yeah, here you can do more colors, but yeah,
Wow.
I know.
What's actual translate Bonos as women?
I think because of Targum. Okay. Yeah, but you asked why it uses who asked who why is it two different?
Why is it for Asher basically why the Sharsh? Why does it translate it 2 different ways?
Yeah, so this is going to be a machlokis in the meforshim, as we'll see here. Okay, that ishruni might not be the same word as Ashrei, which is very confusing. Okay. Rabbi Sachs also goes with blessed for both. How blessed am I? Young girls will call me blessed. Alter says, what good fortune. For he loves this word acclaimed. No one other than Alter uses acclaimed. Girls of acclaimed me fortunate. So then he says like this: Asher's name is derived from Osher, good fortune, and the entire naming is thus closely parallel to the naming of God, which also means like good fortune, good luck. The noun Osher produces a common biblical verb Asher, the basic meaning of which is to call out to be a lucky person. Okay, keep that in mind. So the calling out, that's why he's saying it's acclaimed me fortune. All right. JPS says 1985, not the gender sensitive one. Okay, I insist on using the 1985 version. What fortune? Meaning women will deem me fortunate. So she called his name Asher. You ever heard of Everett Fox? So Everett Fox is another modern translator on par with like Alter. I just don't use him because I don't have a hard copy of his books. So he says, what happiness for women will deem me happy. And she called his name Asher. Okay, now we got the, I put Alter somewhere here. Okay. Osher, happiness. Okay. Asher, for the second one, Ishruni, go straight or to advance. Okay. So that's like what Hindi said about like to proceed. Okay. So that's Ishruni, and that's from the Assyrian Asaru, is to go straight on in the way of understanding. And then Asher, here's the answer to my question. What's the English Asher? Felix. From Felicity. Okay. So Felix is a well, yeah, I mean, Felix it's not an uncommon name, but I mean, no, from Felicity, like Felix, yeah, Felix Felicius from Harry Potter, right? Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, also from Phoenician Asher Shalach, but that might come from Asher the god. Okay, Klein Dictionary just says happiness. Okay, and then happy or blessed. So you see, what I'm trying to illustrate here is you see that like our ambiguity here is reflected in the commentators. Like there's no consensus here. Okay, so now we go into the Rishonic dictionaries. Okay, so Menachem ben Saruk. Okay, so he has a whole long entry on Asher, but his second one is Hasheni is Ashrei Adam Ozlo Becha Ba'ashri Ki Yishruni Banos Ros Banos V'Ashruha Ashrei Ha'ish Kmo Tov Ha'ish. Okay, so this is Tov. All right, that's another one. Okay, Tov, which is doesn't quite fit into our other ones. You could say it's like fortunate. What are you thinking?
No, it's just kind of like what you said about how there's already a word that means something. Why?
Yeah. So here's the other disturbing thing as well is the Targum Ksuvim says Ashrei Ha'ish Tuve Digvar, the goodness of a man. Okay, so it's also another thing here. All right.
What he says on the poster?
We're gonna get there in a little while. Yeah, I wanted to go to the dictionaries first. Okay, Ibn Janach, who's another one of the grammarians, says like this. So actually, I translated this on ChatGPT because I wasn't sure about certain things. But Oshriki Yeshuni Banos, Meirov Oshri Hanashim Ashrososi. Okay, so this is a clue. Okay, so see, and I don't know if you can rely on ChatGPT here. So he's translating Ki Ishruni Banos. So Ishruni is a verb, right? That the Banos were Ma'asher me, and I think it's PL, right? Ishruni, right? So Meirov Oshri, due to my abundant Osher, Hanashim Me'ashros Osi. Okay, they are me'asher me. Okay, so ChatGPT says they call me happy. All right, but I don't know if that's really how it is. V'makom min kmo shebiarnu b'sefer rikma v'yitachin lefarsho. Then he himself is uncertain. V'yitachin lefarsho al panim acherim v'hu shi inyano mima she'ani mis asheres bo. You could say because of mima she'ani mis asheres bo. How do you translate mima she'ani mis asheres bo? Shahanashim me'ashros osi. Shahin omrim li ashrecha. See, it just gets confusing. I know, exactly. This is the confusing part, right? Kamu vaneha vayashruha. So I think there, though, see, you could say it means that her children rise up and they praise her, or her children rise up and they deem her happy, right? Because that's like how Alter said it is to call a person lucky. Okay. Okay, let's continue through here to get to the actual meforshim here. Oh, sorry, and the Radak is just completely gave me nothing. I don't know if I'm missing something here. Okay, you can look at it. I'll read it in the Hebrew while you look in the English. The inyan acher ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach ashrecha Yisrael michamocha shem b'lashon rabim befelas achale. So that's explaining the form. It's like achale adoshem. So ashrei achale. Achalai ashrai. I guess it's singular. The alpha p should the s aleph shirashis the aleph achale nefsefes. So this says even though the aleph in Ashrei is part of the root, but achale in the aleph is a prefix. The oshri ki ishuni banos amru Ashrei ki ozen shama v'ta ashreni ra'uha vaneha v'yashruha v'tomcheha mi'ushar yomru lo ashrav. I don't get anything out of this. Okay, all right. So now let's start looking at the meforshim on the Leah pasuk. Okay, so we've got Targum v'amrat Leah tushbacha havasli are b'chein yishab hunani nashaya ukras yashme asher. Right. So he takes it as praise. What was our color for praise? Do we have that yet? No, we didn't. Okay, fine. So tushbacha havali. So Leah says praise will be for me. Right. Because the women will praise me, and she called his name Asher. Okay. The Pshitata, the Syriac Torah, also has B'tashbuchti Deshabachni Banasa. Sadia Gaon, so that's the Arabic Targum of Sadia Gaon. And then Sadia Gaon here has Mi'ushar Ki Shabchuni Nashim. So he does the second one in Yishabchuni, okay, but then the fact that he doesn't translate the first one, does that mean that he says that the first one is happy? Like, is he using Ushar in Rabbinic Hebrew because he's translating in Rabbinic Hebrew? Right? Otherwise, why wouldn't he translate the first one as Mushar, right?
I don't know the Arabic, but Utsri and Yatsbeni maybe the same word.
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing also is you can't necessarily trust the Hebrew translator here. Yeah. It's confusing here. Yeah. All right, so we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and assume, or the detriment of the doubt, and assume that this is the same one. Yeah, good call. Okay, now this next one was the first one that I rejoiced for. Okay, does anyone know my definition? Yeah, of Ashrei. Yeah, happy praiseworthy because yeah. What was that? Oh no, that's the sorry, that's the translation, but my definition. Do you want to expand on that? Just because it's come up in Tehilim and also my Mishlei Shiur.
I guess person who is it's hard for me to explain exactly, like living in the way they're meant to be and therefore they're happy.
Okay, yeah.
I feel I actually making this up, but I feel like I heard you say that it's like in a way that they're kind of like content with their life, like they're joyous in a content sort of.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's also another track. So has anyone ever heard of Yehuda even I don't know, Bilam? It's a weird, I don't know. I was like, I don't know when that was a trend. Like, was that like Israel's name of the kid Nimrod or whatever? Yeah, right. So anyone ever heard of him? So according to this, the life of Yehuda ibn Bilam is known only by a poem by Moses ibn Ezra, who I just now found out is not related to Avram ibn Ezra. All right. But he was a grammarian, I think. And it was like he devoted himself to this type of Kabbalah. Okay, I think he was he was a contemporary and rival of Moshe ibn Jekatilla. I always forget how to say it. What?
It sounds like a monster name.
It does, yeah. Like it reminds me of the Gila monster is what I always think of, the Chikatilo monster. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So check this out. Okay. So, yeah, like Isaiah said, my definition is basically when you are living in line with your with your definition, with your nature, with your virtue, so then it will cause you to be happy. Okay. But it's a happiness that comes from being in line with your nature. Okay. Not like I always say, let's say there's like a happiness with lowercase h, and happiness with uppercase. Lowercase h is like peak feelings and peak feelings and frequency of pleasurable pleasure, like enjoyment, right? I think it's what like the oilam means by happy, but like happy in like a philosophical sense. Okay. Oh, and the Greek term for this, not the exact Greek term. Eudaimonia, yeah. The best term I use, which I know different Greek philosophers use it in different ways. Eudaimonia means like yeah, you discovered it?
Just looking it up.
You're looking, yeah, right. So flourishing from virtue, okay, is like a way that the Stoics use it. Okay, so check this out. Yehuda Bilam Turgumo. So he's going to translate the pasuk as Biglal halichasi b'derech hayeshara shahabanos madrichos osi umasamchos osi. Okay, so because of my walking on the upright path, because the daughters, so now this is weird. The daughters guide me and make me happy. Okay, so this was the first instance I saw, like maybe this does have something to do with walking on the right path. But then we got this Professor Ma'aravi Peretz, who is the footnote person on Ibn Bilam. So he acknowledges that the Lefina Hamashmal Shel Sameach Be'Oshri Khan, that the first instance of it, Be'Oshri, is he thinks that it's going based on the implication of happy, okay? Or maybe it's the second one. And then he says further on, he's saying he's mefarsh es shtei hamilim b'mashmas shel simcha v'simuach, which simuach is not a conjugation I'm familiar with here. V'ishruni b'mashmas shel sameach b'vinin piel, okay? Like making someone happy. Hamashmas shel grimas hasimcha. So my question is, like, how is he translating the pasuk here? Whoops. Like, is there an eloquent way we can like say that he's translating the pasuk? So Leah said, Be'oshri. So I guess because, yeah.
My uprightness.
Yeah, because of my uprightness. Or, I think we have to include the going on the path of uprightness because of like the proceeding forward. Okay. Now, I feel like I'm misunderstanding Shehabanos Madrikos OC, because like where's that coming from?
Because they were
right, because literally means because the daughters guide me and bring me joy, but I just don't know what that means.
Right. Seems like the daughters are like putting Leia on the right path, and then once she's on the right path, she becomes happy. Right.
So I guess the question is which Banos is this talking about also, right? I mean,
well, that's a question on just a shot.
Yeah, right. Right. So a lot of other mefarshim we'll see explain it like people, like basically like the women in the town, like the people were like considering her happy or whatever, but yeah, so it's a little perplexing. Okay, so let's go on again. We're doing a survey here. All right. Rashba. Okay, so all right. One thing that is good for methodology here is I want to bring your attention is it's good to know who the expert on every Rishon or Acharon is. Like the living expert, okay? Not only so that you know who to rely on, but so you can contact them if need be, okay? Because if they're alive and they're like professors. So anyone know who the expert on Rashbam is? So it is Professor Marty Lokshin, okay? So he's like devoted his life to Rashbam, okay? So this is his translation here. So B'Oshri, Ani omedes B'Ishur Uveshevach Shema Ashros Osi Banos. Okay, so we're doing yellow for Shevach, right? So he's saying B'Oshri means I am in a state of praiseworthiness or praisedness because the daughters praise me. So he translates it as I am held in esteem and praise for women esteem me. And he has a note here. He says, Rashbam is troubled by the fact that the word B'Oshri is a sentence fragment, right? Because there's B'Oshri, like B'Oshri what, he accordingly adds the word Be'oshri ani omedes, rendering the sense I am still held in esteem. The noun Osher in this verse is a hapax legomenon. What's a hapax legomenon?
There's one time in the entire.
Occurs one time in the entire corpus, right? Yeah. Also a Harry Potter spell. Yeah. Hapax legomenon. So I think what he means here is because obviously the shorish is not a hapax legomenon, but Osher, but Oshri is a hapax legomenon. Rashbam does not understand it as happiness, the sense that it is commonly has in rabbinic Hebrew. Rather, he sees it as a synonym of the noun shevach. Such an interpretation is in consonance with the fact that the most common meaning of the verb asher in the Bible is to pronounce happy or to declare blessed. So this is another thing also, that the women, Ishruni is the women call me, pray, like they call me something, you know? So so it is funny though, because he's saying it's not happy, but he's saying that he's acknowledging that calling someone happy, which I guess is a form of praise, you know, is one of the possible meanings here. All right. Okay. Abravanel, Vikara Haben Hasheni Asher. Oh, by the way, we're going in chronological order of meforshim here, in case you hadn't noticed. Vikara Haben Hasheni Asher of Amra Ki Ishruha Banos, Lefi Shiruya Haisa Leshevach Vehilul Al Hashkafasah Bazeh, Lahasira Elbon Mishpitata Vlotera Ena Milahamida Bitsara. Okay, so he's clearly tying this into the narrative here, right? So she called her second son Asher, saying that the Banos have praised her because she is fit for praise and for lauding, due to her outlook in this, to remove the insult. I bet, is that a typo?
Means it's Zilpah? It's Zilpah's second son, not her second.
Yeah. Zilpah's second son, right? Is it supposed to be Shivchasa? Would that make sense there?
Elbows.
Anyone want to get the Bravanel to check? You know where the Bravanel is?
Right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
right. Yeah, I think that this looks funny.
Actually, Mishpah Chasa or Mishpah
I don't know.
Oh, so, probably.
You told me you don't know the commentators as well?
So what was the what was the context here? I mean, I know she's having kids, but what was the immediate context? See, if we were really responsible, we would learn the whole thing, but we're not responsible. We're impatient. Yeah, okay, let's see here. So Leah saw that she had stopped giving birth, and she took Zilpah, her maidservant, and gave her to Yaakov as a wife. Oh yeah, so this probably means Shivchasa, right? Zilpah, Leah's maidservant, bore Yaakov a son. Leah said, good fortune has arrived, and she named him God. Zilpah, Leah's maidservant, bore Yaakov a second son. Leah said, in my happiness, for women have deemed me happy, and she named him Asher. So I would guess that this is Mishivchasa. Shivchasa, meaning actually, maybe not. You want me to find it? Oh, you got the bad one. Sorry.
Ellie, come on.
Yeah, sorry. There's a renovated one. Yeah, that's, I think Ellie's got it.
No, he has
No,
the.
is it, don't we have a good one?
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is this the good one? So what's the big problem with the Bravanel? Lengthy, right? Okay. So this one, first of all, has the psukim. Second, it has Rashi and Targum and Sifsei Chachamim. But more importantly, it breaks it into paragraphs and then puts summaries on the side, so you know what you're looking for. And that's why this is and it's also like a corrected text, like it's not old. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Lamed Yud Gimel. Okay. So it's supposed to say. It's at the end, I think. By the way, again, I apologize if this is a boring investigation. And this is like the thing I do on my own, but this is all I have today.
Very interesting.
I'm in the wrong pair.
Now,
I wouldn't say very interesting. I'm not even very interested in this, but I'm just obsessed with it. Yeah, okay. It's at the end. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Mishif Chasa. It's Mishif Chasa. Velotera ina milhamida basara. What's his shot here? Let's actually learn. Yeah. I mean, what I would say from the Psukim is that she definitely had to overcome the resistance to giving her maidservant to Yaakov. That's a big deal, especially because she's already feeling jilted from Rachel, right? So like now I'm gonna give like my maidservant, and like he's gonna like I'm gonna he's gonna have another woman, so the Banos are praising her for her hashkafa in this. Now this is what I don't lahasiru. Is that also a mistake? Lahas, right? It sounds funny, right? Lahasiru. Let me close this so soon. Lahasira.
No, it's not the Hasira alone.
Let's see. She's doing the action.
Lahasira elbon.
She's not removing it.
See, right.
Elbow's not feminine.
It's a shampoo.
Oh, so it's interesting. So it says in the footnote, there's a ksav yad that says lahasir ha elbon. I think that makes more sense. Yeah, right. Lahasir ha elbon mishif chasa. So to remove the elbon is insult from her shifcha. So what would be the insult to her shifcha?
Oh, it's nothing below Tira Ina. Isn't that who's Ina? Isn't that saying Leah's eye? She shouldn't look in a bad way at her shifcha. Milhamida Bitsara. Is that what's Milhamida Bitsara?
To leave her in a state of tzara, right? Or to like abandon her to a state of
Point her.
to set her up.
Is it saying Tzara like no,
Not setting you up in the way that people set people up. Yeah.
Is it Tzara like a toy?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
It's
Okay.
like
So there,
it's
good
like,
call.
a hugger.
Right. A wife rival.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So to not.
It's a word.
Yeah, it's a word. Yeah. What's the because it comes from the Arios formulation. Lo tikach. But litzror, right?
It's not the same word.
I don't know.
Sorer, I guess it's
To antagonize.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's not the same word. Yeah, right. But we do call them tsaros, right? Yeah. Okay, so what is he saying then? To remove the insult from her shifcha and not be jealous of her in setting her up as a co-wife. What we're trying to get here also is just the name Asher, because in case anyone ever decides to name a kid Asher,
What are we doing?
yeah, what are we doing, right?
That's my brother.
Yeah. And oh yeah? Oh, ask him if he knows what his name means.
No chance.
Oh,
After this is all,
well, after this, yeah, right.
This year.
Yeah, I never got people. By the way, I never got people. I've every time I encounter like a new name, like if a student I teach, and I ask like, oh, what does that name mean? There are a couple cases where like they're like, I don't know. How can you not like know what your name means? Like you're not curious, But okay. Anyway, right. So what's the basic idea here of the pasuk? That they were praising her because a normal woman in that case would never do this, and if she did do this, she'd be jealous, like she'd be jealous of her maidservant for making her a co-wife. So so that's interesting. So that's a very different name than calling her son Asher because the women say that she's happy, right? Like I feel like it's a very different idea. Okay, so Sforno, Ashrei zehaben hu nichlal be'osher shali. So how's he taking it? This ben is included in my osher. What does that sound like? In what?
Well, no.
Well, wealth. I mean, not wealth with an iron, right?
Grateful for this thing? Or
Yeah. I mean, to me, it sounds like happiness, right?
Put it in my happiness.
Right? In my happiness, right? Or fortune, happiness or fortune. Hard to tell. Gam ze li bain, because this is also going to be a son for me. Okay. All right, now my new friend, Naftali Hertz Wesley, for those who've been reading my stuff, amazing guy. He's a contemporary of the Gra, okay, and he was a pre-Maskil, okay, like before the actual Haskalah, I think. He was involved in like Haskalah stuff, but he was Orthodox, but he was controversial because he advocated for secular studies. So he says, "L'devrenu nolad ze achar shenolad Zvulun leLeah." So according to us, this son was born after Zvulun was born to Leah. Is that controversial? No, right? Isn't Zvulun, unless Zvulun comes after? Z- Oh yeah, I guess that is controversial.
That's weird.
Yeah, right. Okay, fine. So this is so Asher was born after Zvulun. That's strange. Okay. Ulefi shekvar yalda kol habanim shehayu ru'im lehivala mimena. So she had already given birth to all of the sons that were fit to she was fit to give birth to. Amra beledis habenazeb Oshri. So that's why she said in this with this one bi Oshri. Ata noledis bi Oshri bihiosi miusheres umivuna b'chol tuv. Noladta, yeah. Ashri bihiosi meusheres umuvuna. Muvuna is a weird word, also b'chol tuv. So what does it sound like he's saying the meaning is here?
She's happy that she got an extra son.
Yeah, right. That but this also is sounding like, I mean, see, it's hard to tell even happy and fortunate, but like all the good. I mean, let's go with fortunate for this one and for Sforno, I think. Im habanim smecha. Oh, the next line. Kamosha Amra Valeris Banah Akrons Vadani Elokim Lugomer Apam Yizbleni Ishi Yalada Lo Shisha Banim Ki Oz Haisa Musheres Bechol Tuv. Im habanim smecha. Ah, there you go. Right. So smecha is happy. Right. So that's yeah. But that, you're saying that's the yeah, right. So happy. Okay. So we got happy here. Okay. Visit, what are you laughing about?
Begin the fifth line,
Fifth.
second word line, habanos.
Habanos.
Yeah, really.
Okay, I was almost there. Zehu ki ishruni banos habanos haroos es kvodi ves rov banai. Yeah, that's how Haman reference. Yeah. So the daughters who see my glory and the multitude of my children, omros kulana shani hamusher shebachol habanos. They'll say that I am the happiest of all of the daughters. V'gamba ben hazeh lo zachra davar hanogea le'inyan harishon mitam she'amarnu etel gad shekara holida baneha kodem shialda zilpa. L'chein kamosha amra al ben zilpa harishon sheba lemazal bavur yisachar amra al bana hasheni sheba be'es oshra bavur zvulun. Okay, I'm not going to get into the whole zvulun thing. Rashram zal pirish be'oshri ani omeres be'ishur uveshevach shemasheres osi banos milos be'ashrei eno sovelos pirusha. So he's rejecting Rashbam. He's saying it does not mean praiseworthy. Okay, fine. All right, Rav Reggio, my other friend. Hashem hu osher al mishkal goren chodesh. So the form is like, you know, goren choshed osher. Vinyana be'osher uvahatzlacha. Okay, so then like a fifth meaning, hatzlacha, right? Success, or is that like my flourishing thing? I don't know. Hatzlacha. Okay. Dome lamash amar ba God. Like good fortune has come. Maybe you could say that this is fortune. I'm gonna go ahead and classify it as fortune. I think this is the style of using Osher v'hatzlacha as like giving the synonym. Yeah. Ki ishruni banos ki anashim almost like ashrecha shayulocha kama banim ben mimcha ben mishivchasa. Okay. All right, fine. All right, so now we get to a fun one. Okay, because this one has you can see what's fun about it if you look. Ashri ein zeh shem davar she'nifrad mimenu asher b'cholam b'mishkal chodesh choshech kodesh imkein yihu kol hamon ashrei sheb'mikra zayin u'mushim bin kodem. Okay, so in other words, actually I translated this one. I had ChatGPT translate. Sorry, I just had this. I'll skip to the chase. In German, alles ist glücklich gepriesen wurde. When I was called happy. Okay, so kind of like Rashi with the laws, Ksava Kabbalah gives German. So I looked. ChatGPT says this means either when I was called happy or when I was praised as happy, and Google Translate also says when I was called happy. So it's interesting here also. It's not just to be happy, but it's to be called or considered happy. Okay, or like Alder says, to be acclaimed as happy. Okay, all right. Then we get to another fun one. Okay, so this is breaking. Wait, maybe it's still breaking. Even more breaking news. No. Okay. All right. So I'll get to you in a second. So Shadal translated the Chumash into Italian. Okay. So Il Pentateuco. Lea dice con mi felicità. Si le donne mi diranno beata. Così glipose nome Asher. Now, what can you tell about his translation even without knowing Italian here? Happy, felicita, but not the same for the second one. Beata and felicita. Okay. So, but the thing is Dan Klein, who is the Shadal expert, so when he translated it, he translates it as Leah said, with my happiness, yes, the women will call me happy. So she named him Asher. So he translates it the same. Okay. So I texted him and said, oh, sorry. And then the commentary of Shadal says, the past tense is used in place of the future. Now the women will call me happy. Isher in the PL form is said of someone who considers another person successful. Okay. So this is another thing where it's not success, it's being considered successful. Okay. And it can also sometimes imply envy, such as in Nachnum Ne'ashrim Zedim. We call the arrogant happy. Okay. So anyway, so I texted Dan and said, hey, Dan, I'm giving a shiur tonight on the translation of Ashrei. For the first time, I consulted Shadal's Il Pitantucho, which has, okay, fine. I see you translated as Leah said, with my happiness. Yes, the women call me happy, so I named him Asher. Now, I may not know Italian, but from the looks of it, felicita looks like a different word than beata. Both ChatGPT and Google Translate render the sentence, Leah said, how happy I am. Yes, the women will call me blessed. Beata is like beatitude. Is like a fancy English word for like being blessed, I think. So she called his name Asher. I wanted to ask you the reason behind your translation. So he responded, he said, for my English translation, I stayed fairly literal. Con mia felicita is literally with my happiness. Obviously, Leah meant it as how happy I am, but I didn't feel free to get idiomatic in my translation, and beata can mean either happy or blessed. I went with happy because the Hebrew Ishruni uses the name Shorish as Asher and Be'ochri, and this seems to indicate that the same word should be used in English, even if Shadal used a different one, presumably for elegant variation. Okay, so he's taking liberties by being conservative in the translation. Yeah, more literal than Shadal did. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so that was that, and I asked him also. He didn't in his printed translation. He didn't translate this, and so I was waiting for him. This was a text like 45 minutes ago. So, yeah, fresh off the text. Yeah, Okay.
I don't even remember that's how we translate.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's sometimes you remember these things. Unlike me, who has to give a shiur because I don't remember what I did 4 years ago. Okay, now we get to Rav Hirsch. Finally, the pièce de résistance. Yeah, so he says like this. On the one hand, Asher, this is Rav Hirsch's theory. Okay, so for those who aren't familiar, he holds that all interchangeable, similar sounding consonants and vowels have related meaning. So Asher is related to asar, atzar, chashar. I've never heard of that one before. And osher, all of which denote accumulation of forces or resources. Okay, now on the other hand, Asher is related to Ashur in the sense, or Ishur in the sense of stride, especially in the moral sense. Accordingly, the basic meaning of Asher is progress, a steady march toward great wealth in resources or in qualities. Thus, Esher and Osher, thriving success. With thus the literal meaning of Ashrei, this one's lot is all progress towards goodness and happiness. So I tried to argue to Hindi that so you see he is tying it to happiness, but Hindi said, and I quote, Hindi said, Ashrei is progress, happiness is just one example, he has many others. Okay, so like if you look in other areas of Ashrei, okay, fine, I'll take a word for it because she's Rav Hirsch, uses Rav Hirsch a lot. Thus, Asherah, okay, which by the way is related. All the Sefer HaShorashim have this for Asherah also. A tree that is dedicated to one of the gods and that is thriving, flourishing, supposedly through this god's special blessing. And thus, Asher, the relative pronoun, I guess, always adds some new title or distinction to the subject or object. Like the person, like Aish Asher Lo Halach B'atzas Rishayim, right? It's like distinguished. Okay, Asher represents a thing through its qualities. The whole purpose of Asher is to encompass a thing by its distinguishing features. Okay. And then he says, Ba'oshri, says Leah, now as before, I'm striding on the path of success. Women have therefore deemed me fortunate, see, equals fortunate also, for being blessed with children and have praised me. He's getting all of them for my continuing success. Yeah.
Generally just gaining.
Gaining something, yeah, right, exactly. Right, yeah, I know, but it's frustrating though, right? He's trying to have it all. He's trying to contain it all. Yeah. And then the Rav Hirsch etymological dictionary, which I used to think was written by Rav Hirsch, but apparently it was assembled based on Rav Hirsch's writings. They have progress, move forward as the main meaning. Being in successful progress is how they take ours. Walking straight forward. So this is you guys know about this dictionary? So if you like Rav Hirsch, I mean, I love Rav Hirsch's Perushim, but I hold that his etymology is complete drasha. You know, like because there's a whole thing. Rav Hirsch has certain theories about the Hebrew language that we now know to be false, like that he holds that Hebrew was like a hermetically sealed language that never got influences from other languages, and it's all self-contained. And he'll make he doesn't recognize evolution within Hebrew either. So he'll draw meanings from rabbinic Hebrew and biblical Hebrew almost as one. And this whole thing about interchangeability of the consonants and stuff, that's his own theory. So it's good drasha, but it's drush.
No, Ramban also says something like that, like God created.
Yes, Ramban also says that. Yeah. I also, but for Ramban, it's connected to Kabbalah. So like that's also a different reason why I disagree with Ramban, or not disagree, but like don't share his premises. You know. Yeah. Okay, we got a couple more. Malbim, classic Malbim. Yesh Hebdel between Osher and Hatzlacha. Okay, so there's a difference between Osher and Hatzlacha. Hatzlacha hi b'inyane ha'olam. Hatzlacha is in material success, but Osher hi b'osher ha'nefesh, in spiritual Osher. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is in the fortunate camp, right? Or yeah, let's do fortunate camp here. But fortunate in the sense of successful spiritually. Amra hagam she'ini matzlachas ki ishi lo yehavosi ani meusheres. Oh, that's a little confusing. Oh, sorry, no, it's not. So even though I am not successful materially, meaning that my husband doesn't love me, I am meusheres ki ishruni banos, because the banos are ishruni. Hakol choshi mosi lemeusheres. All of them consider me to be meusheres. Ubas olam haba umashim es maasai. So in other words, they admire her perfection, essentially, right? So it is musha. So this is kind of close to my definition of like in line with perfection and therefore happy or considered happy or successful in that sense. Okay. The Netziv says be'oshri ze nolad al yedei shvachi be'osher shali. Okay, so he's going with the shavach ra. What color shavach? Oh, yellow. Okay, shavach. Yishuni banos hador ashruha al zeh. Shechashasha lahasi es zilpa, es abas zilpa, u'kmo dichsiv al Shaul, benos Yisrael el Shaul b'china hamal bishchem shani v'gomer, hainu shechashash letovasan lebalehen, kach ishru habanos es lea al masa zeh. Okay, so I think it's clear he's learning as praise though. Okay, similar to the who's the first person we did? The Bravanel. All right. David Tzvi Hoffman, who was a contemporary of Rav Hirsch, slight younger, I think. Ba'oshri bedome lebagad ach nir she'osher mitzayin yoser es hahatzlacha hagluya. So he says that is outward success. Zil haniris le'ene kol, which is apparent to all. So that is in line with this idea of people recognizing you as being happy or successful. I mean. Ki ishruni banos ata mekave le'a bibatacha shi hallelujah ke'im hameusheres mikol habanos. Okay, so it's recognized as successful. Okay, so that is all meforshim that I found on that first pasuk. Okay, but then there's one more which I just found. The original intent of the shiur was going to be to go through these psukim and Tehilim, but I got caught up on this Ashrei thing. Rashi in a in a new or an old manuscript. Hold on. Rashi on Tehilim 1:1 in the manuscript. Oh, so later manuscript. Okay, so in a later manuscript of Rashi, he adds le filisimon balaz. Okay, which is feliciments. But then he says, Ishrav utihilosav shal ish, Elohim. So the praises of man, the praises of man. Okay, these are the praises. Okay, so here we've got Shevach for how he's actually explaining the pasuk, but then happy for this. Okay, so now the concluding question is: did we get any clearer, closer to meaning? Well, I think one thing we've established, which I think was not clear to Hindi, is it does seem like there is machlokas, like that. It's not just like the meforshim are favoring one or the other. I mean, I didn't count up. Not that you can like decide truth based on a tally, but like just look at the colors, man. Right? I mean, there's just like a lot of different things here, you know. So I guess do we have any has this, can we establish a pecking order here, you know, or is this totally actually, you know what, hold on a second, let's list our conclusions here. Okay, list at the end.
Finding listed as joyous, content, and happy.
Yes. Yeah, okay, right. So let's just summarize our findings here. Okay, hold on. Just gonna type this for hold on. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's just go here. Okay, so we have here findings. Okay, so well, what happened? Okay, so we have how many main categories? About four. Let's see. We have praised / praiseworthy. We have happy. So that's what I want to try to get here. I think there's two planes. Hold on. There's there's what am I missing here? Oh, fortunate, yeah, successful, recipient of good, right? I think it's like yeah, okay, right. And then here's what I say is like three main like meanings. All right, so we got those. So we got one, and this is not in order. Happy. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in felicitous because I like that. Felicitous. Is that how you spell it? Yeah, whatever. Okay, and then but then at the same time, we see a division about whether these are actual qualities, or I shouldn't say whether they're actual qualities, whether these are references to these qualities per se, or whether there's an added element of being recognized to possess these qualities, right? That's another thing. Turns out, though, I think striding forward is the least common and is only reflected in Rav Hirsch explicitly, right? And alluded to in Yehuda ibn Bilam, right? Yeah.
Also, there's blessing, like blessed.
Yeah, so I think the blessed is going to be in this category here of the happier for the listeners, because I think it's blessing in the sense of like having, because bracha means Toseves Tova. That's like the literal translation of bracha. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. Blessed. Yeah. Right. In other words, happy is more of the internal feeling, whereas fortunate is more of the objective state, and the praiseworthy is how people are viewed. And that's the curious thing here is like, in other words, don't think that the the definition note of how others view you is just an aspect of praise or praiseworthy, right? Because we saw that it was used in the other ones also. Yeah. So the real question I have also is do we find, which we're not going to be able to answer here, for each of these meforshim, are they consistent, you know, or do they apply each of these as context dictates? Yeah. And this is why you don't set out to translate an entire, book of Tanakh, because questions like this require real legwork, and it's really, really difficult. So anyway, I hope this was somewhat worthwhile. Again, this is like what I sit there for hours doing when I'm writing an article. So if you want to write serious you want to put Torah out there, you gotta like do the groundwork. This is the Darsha Tzemru Fishtim V'tas, right? That she seeks out wool, linen, and Tzemru Fishtim, wool and linen, and her hands work with desire. Right? Yeah. So that's my idea on Eishes Chayil, that there's the glamorous parts of the craft, which involve usually the where you see the final product, and then there's the gathering of the raw materials, which is not fun or glamorous, like getting the facts and doing the research to be able to do svara. Everyone loves doing svara, but you have to be willing to slog through the facts. Or let's say like in Repesach shiur, you're going to have to be willing to even go through the slogging through the elementary initial months of basic svaras on the other years before you get to like the underlying theories of the thing. Or if you're in astronomy, you're going to have to be one of those guys. I always get the names mixed up. Painstakingly counting and charting all the stars before you can actually like make moves, so yeah, right. It comes up in Mishnah from time to time. So Darsha Tzemru Fishtim V'tas B'chivus Kapah. That's the one I quoted. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
And I just remember when I first
Yeah.
talked, you had something like people always want to go into the spars, but don't spend enough time on the prep, like getting all the materials.
Yeah. I was probably quoting this because that's the one I usually quote. Yeah. Okay. So if anyone has any other insight into Ashrei, then let me know. But that's what I got. All right. Thanks for coming. Sorry we didn't do Tehilim.
Thank you.
Think
Yeah.
of one of